NZ Aerosports, Icarus Canopies, now Gyro. That's right, we've rebranded, and Gyro is our next generation. It honours our founder, as that's the name we knew him by, but Gyro also marks the start of a new chapter. And not to be biased, but it's going to be fucking epic. Long story short, we're more us than ever. So if you're new to the sport, or even a Sky God Ninja Turtle, welcome. I think our valiant leader Lucy, Gyro's daughter, says it best.
And we still got that fuck yeah attitude. Rebrand! Woo!
Rebrand woo indeed, Lucy. Anyway, head over to gyro.com for more info and get amongst you legends.
I was 19, broke, unemployed, and sold my girlfriend's canopy for drug money. So I thought I better sew her a new one. What a sentence, and what a story. This describes the humble yet outrageous beginnings of NZ Aerosports, the home of Icarus Canopies, in the words of our founder himself. From getting a paratrooper toy from his mom, watching parachutes at the DZ as a 6-year-old, jumping off the wharf with a parachute made from bed sheets, doing his first jump at 16, sewing his first canopy on a borrowed machine at 19, and starting to sell parachutes out of a garage in 1986, Paul Gyro Martin had an undying love for the sky. Our company started with one man with the wildest of spirits and a true blue sky dream, a renegade. In the time that Gyro created and ran the Icarus Canopies brand until he passed away in 2017, he pushed everything he had to its limits. We miss him, and we always will. Gyro is the next generation of NZ Aerosports. It honors our founder, of course, because it was the name we all knew him by, but Gyro the rebrand also marks the start of a new chapter, our next jump. Gyro is the space between sound and silence, art and science, chaos and calm. Gyro is a state of epic tranquility that transcends understanding. That moment, in the door, in free fall, mid-swoop, where nothing but the present exists. A perfect balance of euphoria and thrill. Gyro captures our passion for flying and our commitment to designing break-the-fucking-rules canopies that deliver pilots pure, wild flight. Hey gang, so I got a new book out. It's called The Upside of Fear, and it's exactly what you think it's about. It's about the good side of, well, getting scared. In it, we talk not only about the science and biology behind fear, but the psychology as well. And it's not just coming from me, it's coming from some of the best in the sport. Omar Alhigelan, Jeff Provenzano, Maxine Tate, and so many more have contributed their sometimes terrifying stories to the book to help you overcome your fear. So head to the lunaticfringepodcast.com. You're going to find the link to the book there, as well as the other books. It's available in ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook right now.
Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go. Back in the can for an on-location edition of the podcast, the Lunatic Fringe podcast. Who the fuck are you? What do you do?
My name's Jimmy McCarthy, and I am a skydive and tunnel coach for JST Coaching, Jimmy Sky and Tunnel Coaching.
And here we are sitting in a bar in a square in Finland, of all places, having a drink with a little background music, no less.
It couldn't be any more magical.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So how the hell you been?
Man, it's been absolutely amazing the last, I'm going to say it was probably 3 or 4 years ago since we did our podcast.
How crazy is that?
It's my company's really gone from strength to strength. It's been constant working towards getting better at coaching and developing the techniques on body flight, really. I've been hammering a lot more indoor coaching to tunnel coaching and outdoor load organizing.
Okay.
With the weather in the UK, it's too hard to book in coaching days for outdoor. So I can't rely on that as an income.
Sure.
I will plan weekends, but use them as like come Friday afternoon, if we're not jumping that weekend, then I haven't relied on that as some way to pay my bills.
Sure.
So I've really had to aim my business towards getting paid to go load organize somewhere, because if you turn up, you're paid by the drop zone, and then a tunnel camp normally goes ahead. Like, it's one of those,
Sure.
you book tunnel time, it happens. It's not weather dependent. So,
Which is nice. Well, and it's, obviously it's a growing field. There's more and more tunnels sprouting up all over the place. There's more and more people that are in the field. I definitely want to get back to that, but I want to, for anybody that didn't hear the first one, I want to jump you back to your beginnings in the sport, how you got started in skydiving, how you got started in tunnel flying.
at the very start, it was the cliche. I had a bit more time and money one given summer, and I thought I'd buy a tandem skydive. And I did one tandem skydive with a guy named Phil Kemper over Noosa. And his handycam, it was back when the Sony cam
I remember it well.
zoomed in too far. So
Yeah.
when we landed, the handycam was nothing except a bit of zoomed in footage. So I got a second one. And then it was a bit more like, so I spent all day there chatting with him, and from that booked my AFF course. Did my AFF with Wade Edwards out at Dukes, and it was really a one-on-one course. So spent 2 weeks bouncing in between my parents' place and Ramblers, back and forth. Got my AFF done, and I was living over in Perth in Australia at the time. And then I rang the local drop zone York, which is unfortunately closed down now, and jump 9 to jump 450 was done there.
In Perth?
Yeah, out in York.
How?
So-
What took you to Perth if it wasn't skydiving?
So I'd gotten out of the army and I was working at a gold mine. So that's how I had the extra money and time, because I was
That's the
working
thing,
FIFO.
right?
Yeah,
I don't know if you know him, but a really good friend of mine, Derek Massey.
I do know Derek.
Dude, Derek and I have done a lot of stupid shit together over the years. And of course, he ended up in Perth and
Yeah,
was
so he
working
was-
in the mines
Yeah.
and then jumping in Perth. And he's not in Perth anymore. I forget
No,
where
I
he's
think
jumping
I think
now.
he's had some life changes, and I think he's over the East Coast. And
Yeah. Well,
think-
he's like me. He's fucked himself up so many times. He doesn't know what aches caused from what injury. So I give him nothing but shit. But that big old bald bastard still kicking, still chucking drugs and doing it.
yeah, he won't ever stop.
No, fuck no. He's
Too much of an athlete.
he's as lifer as he comes. But I mean, he loves what he does too. So
Yeah.
So the gold mines. What were you doing there?
So I was a process technician, which basically means my mate's father was the general manager, and he got me the job. And I turned up completely green, and I started from the crushing plant, then working on the tanks, and then working on the mill. So making mud pies and turning gold in
Damn.
the dirt into gold bars. So it was just a job. I felt like it was completely different to working on helicopters out of the army, working FIFO. It was like a complete shift to civilian life. And I think the skydiving thing really come out of not being in the army anymore, not having... It was like all I had
Sure.
was either working and drinking. So I was like, wow, I need a
It's
real hobby.
Yeah. Well, I feel you, because it's almost a similar situation that I'm in now, in that I've just transitioned out of being a jump pilot for God knows how many years, and deeply invested in skydiving for almost 29 years, and now I'm just some dude.
Yeah.
I'm not actively jumping right now. I'm still recovering from a surgery. I'm not flying anymore. I'm semi to almost fully retired from that. So I'm just, it's very strange to not have an aviation or other slightly unusual outlet. I just go to the gym.
It becomes this, I've never enjoyed a boring life.
No.
I left home at 17, lived here. It was like I've always jumped 2 feet into everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, here we go. Next thing. What's the next thing?
It sounds to me like you're a bit like me, in that you're on what number of career in life are you on now?
Number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Yeah.
I'm now trying to figure out what number 4 is going to be.
Yeah. I've got a big thing of like, do what makes you fucking happy.
Yeah.
I've never been good at I hate having a fucking shit time. It's like if I'm not saying fuck yes, then it's a fuck no. And so I'm really lucky at the moment. My wife is the hardest, smartest working person I know, and she's got heavily into the property business, and I'm along for the ride.
Sure.
So it works out really well at the moment that I've got my tunnel camps abroad, my load organizing abroad, my UK tunnel based, and then I've got the houses to work on. So
Nice.
we bring up our yearly calendar, and it's got fit kitchen these 2 weeks here, remove this. It's like purple and green throughout the entire diary of like,
Sure.
I can tell you where I am in November the 15th, I'm doing this, because it's like...
But the cool thing is, it sounds like it's broken up into all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, it's like the seasonal thing, right? So tunnels, a lot of tunnel in the winter, a lot of jumping in the summer, along with the organizing jobs. So
Sure. I think I'm looking at trying to phase into something similar in that I've discovered that being an English-only speaker in Finland means that any type of work, even to get me out of the house, can be very difficult to find.
True.
And I stay relatively busy doing the podcast, then I write for The Edge with Anna Moxness and Holly Blue, but it still doesn't take up nearly enough time to keep my wife from wanting to kill me.
Or finding you a job to do.
Exactly. So I'm starting to toss around the idea of maybe getting seasonal work flying back in the States, go do a 2 or 3 month contract here and there and then come back, because I can make a decent living flying, half or a full season in the States, and then still be home every winter with the wife and traveling and doing all that. So it's nice to have that option. So back to your jumping. You find Perth. Were you licensed when you went to Perth?
Yeah, so I finished my AFF, and I don't think I had my A license yet. I think it was like Jump 9 or Jump 18. So it's 11 years ago now. And that drop zone it was fun jumper based, and it had all the right instructors, all the right admin, or everyone was just there to get that one plane up and down as much as possible. And if you were paying, you were on it. So
that's important, though, right? I
mean, Well, the problem is, in this modern world we have, is tandems make more money.
Yeah.
And then once the tandems are finished, if the drop zone closes, then all their expenses closes.
Yeah.
So for them to stay open for another 4 hours when it's longer days, and they send a plane a couple of times.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, you want the staff are like, I'm going home. Like, I've done my 10 tandems for today.
Oh yeah.
And so now you've got this. There's Skydive Langer in the UK have got 3 planes, and they're run by jumpers and pilots, and so they push as hard as possible. But you find so many drop zones that will just get through.
Yeah.
And then especially like for weekends and stuff, they don't want to be there and pushing the sport forward and reinvesting. It's like you don't want to say the glory days are gone, but because life's so expensive these days that we're in a lull.
Oh yeah.
The sport.
Well, without a doubt. I mean, even when I started in '96, I started in Vegas at a drop zone that was obviously making a shitload of money on tandems. It's a heavy tourist area, so every load is tandems, and even as a student, you're kind of working to get on the planes. So luckily, I had a job that allowed me to go out at like noon on a Tuesday, when you could always get a slot to go jump. But I was also fortunate in that Paris Valley was a 2-hour drive away. So I had a big drop zone that had a huge fun jumper and team base. And so I was able to do that. And that was in '96. So now, obviously, tandems have become so much more dramatically popular around the world and are such a huge business. It's sadly pushing out a lot of fun jumper drop zones.
It is. And especially like Skydive Australia or whatever they are branding under now,
Right.
they have a model that they know how to make a shit ton of money on a certain model.
Yep.
And it becomes corporate, and then it's now like the machine is not community club jumping. It's you fit in as a cog.
You'd almost wish that there was a way that the drop zones that are of a large enough size could just have two completely separate operations.
Yeah.
There you go. Tandems are on the other side of the field. Have a good day. This plane and this operation is for fun jumpers.
Yeah.
Whether that means you're turning 5 loads in a day or 25, because then it's fun jumper based. You're going to get fun jumpers to come.
Yeah.
You're going to have the...
And building that community around people wanting to go there is the other big thing.
Well, that's where the clubs kind of plug that hole, though. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, because the clubs are obviously fun jumper based.
Well, it was a drinking club that skydived. And so,
those are the days that I think have changed a lot, though. The bonfire culture has faded a lot, man, from the sport.
And I think it's that it's the modern culture of that COVID period killed a lot of the community, because that generational bit that's coming through weren't like sucked into it because they were all told to stay at home.
Sure.
And then you've got all the old boys who were on the cusp of quit
Yep.
because they were like, oh yeah, wow, more money and extra weekends. Oh, look at that, there's mountain bikes and there's this, like there's the second sport that's always been gaining dust.
Sure.
Now the skydive rig's gaining dust and they're doing that, and it's like that there's that break.
Well, and I think that's definitely been part of the reason there's been an uptick in podcast consumption, especially in the sport, is because that bonfire culture has kind of been replaced by, bringing up your favorite podcast on the drive to the drop zone to go get whatever jumps you can, because there's not going to be that bonfire at the end of the day, or at least not in a lot of the bigger operations.
Yeah. In a lot of and the problem is that a lot of the places are an hour and a half away. They don't provide accommodation. All of those corporate things that stop the club building.
Oh yeah. Well, all the weird stuff that ever happened with my time in the sport has always been in a drop zone where you were camping or you're living in the trailer on the drop zone and you just never left. So it wasn't so much a drop zone as it was a commune.
Yeah.
That happened to jump out of airplanes, but you 12 to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with the same group of people. Shit's gonna get weird.
Yeah.
In a fun way, though.
Incestual, for want of a bit of a word.
That may have happened. What was funny, because when I transitioned out of that type of drop zone and into what ultimately became a very corporate drop zone is when I went to Dubai and was working really, really hard. And at the end of the day, I was also landing at a facility that had the aircraft 30 minutes away from the drop zone. So the idea of my parking the airplane, doing the paperwork, getting in the car, and driving 30 minutes to have a beer with somebody was insane, because I had to do it all the next day. So it really did remove you from all of that. And my only social interaction at the drop zone for a long time was the rare occasions that we would go out, or my time on the drop zone in the plane or having lunch. So it really did kind of change that the social structure of the sport.
And there is that point of pilots are already slightly disconnected.
Sure.
It's not... You normally got to go make the effort to go talk to the jump pilot, because he's got to pack the aircraft away.
Yep.
And then he's got to work again at 8 in the morning. And he's not allowed... there's a little bit more rules for you guys. He's not allowed to go booze on.
Sure.
And then...
Sure.
Turn up the next morning and
fly. Well, plus I was always the guy sitting in the front of the airplane screaming, "Get on the fucking plane!" So I will freely admit that in my time in the cockpit, I've not always been the most approachable person on the drop zone. Just get in the plane, goddammit, let's go.
Well, that's a part of your job. It takes all sorts and personalities.
Sure. Well, the big shift for me again was Dubai, because Dubai is the first place I have ever worked and will ever work where turn times were not the most important thing. Every other drop zone, whether it was the drop zone pushing it or me because I'm getting paid by the load, man, as soon as those brakes are on, somebody better be getting in the plane.
Yeah.
And that place was a very relaxed atmosphere, at least for the first few years. It was very much take your time. We're going to stop after 5 loads and have lunch.
That's a complete change of pace.
Yeah, it was very weird and hard to shift gears. I mean, it took me years to get to that point where I just finally went, oh, fuck it.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So you're jumping in Perth, you're gaining experience. How do you start transitioning into working in the sport?
I went and did a couple of boogies. So again, I'd done mining for 3 and a bit years and had that like quarter life crisis of am I going to work for someone for a living? Am I going to work doing this for the rest of my life?
Sure.
And then seeing like the second generation of tunnel instructors coming back from Europe, so like Mason Corby and Dougie and those guys. And Mason, we went and did a boogie at J Bay, Jurien Bay, and Mason had just come back and he was talking about a back layout and the flight techniques and whatnot, and then sort of broke down how tunnel coaches can pay a mortgage. And so it sort of made it not this euphoric chase the dragon, become a flyer, man, like it become, how do I take my love of teaching and the sport I love and then pay a mortgage with it?
Sure.
Because that's, that was the...
I mean, let's face it, even from the inside, up until maybe the last 10 years or so, the idea of working in the sport was always the irresponsible choice.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do it, but man, it's feast or famine and you're never quite sure and there's not a lot of security, and it's only been this last 10 years
like living in a caravan and...
Exactly. And you have to be willing to go, I don't give a fuck about money. Well, bullshit. You want those bills paid.
Yeah.
You want to get it done.
There's having your bills paid and a bit of cash to be like you just makes all the rest of your life quite calmer.
Most jumpers that I know will agree with me that money is by far not the most important thing in my life as long as those bills are paid.
Yeah.
Once the bills are paid, I don't need to be driving a fucking Bentley and have the the crazy fancy house and all that. But not being able to pay your mortgage or pay for the car or worrying about what comes the next month is tough. So I can imagine when you're making that transition and you're deciding you're going to leave the mines, which is a highly profitable job.
Yeah, it was good money, and it was also like we were working 2 weeks on, 1 week off, but then you had 5 weeks off a month as well, so you could take your 2 weeks off. And then you'd still get your 1 week off. So you could have three-week holidays on top of the good salary. It was like, everything was perfect about it, apart from the fact that you had to go away for 2 weeks and grind. And I was like, well, I can either grind doing what I want to do, and under how Mason explained how tunnel coaching works. And, blah, blah. And, my wife basically had an opportunity to come back from Australia and work in the UK and start with our property business. And she sort of said, I'm going. And then I was like, well, isn't that funny? I've thought about quitting. And there was one thing going wrong at the mine site that just wasn't changing, and it sort of like come to a T. And I rang her at 2 a.m. in the morning and went, I'm out. Let's do it. And that was in the April. And I basically, it was the August. We we're moving to the UK.
Nice.
And I had to work in the UK, so the iFly or Air Kicks at the time sent my application form in, and there's a lovely lady, Holly, that works in Australia iFly, who used to work for the UK Air Kicks. So I sent her my application, and she tore it to bits, and she's like, telling me you're a skydiver and that's all you want to do in life is not going to get you a corporate job of teaching first timers how to be in a wind tunnel. I was like, oh yeah, that's a good thought process.
Right.
So fixed my application form, sent it in, and really heard nothing. And then I had a house in Australia, and my wife and I went and fixed all that up to rent it out again to then before we moved, just so it was all safe. And I had a missed call on my phone at 9 a.m. or something, 9 p.m. or something, and it was a Milton Keynes phone number. Oh, it's a bit strange. Rang it back, and it was Sean Freeman, who was the assistant manager at one of the wind tunnels, and he's like, I found your application. What are you doing Wednesday? And I was like, well, I fly into the UK on Tuesday at about 5 p.m. And he goes, oh, excellent. I'll see you here Wednesday at about 5 p.m. I'll give you a day to get over some jet lag, and I'll see you here.
Sure.
So then did our move to the UK, flight and everything of the sort, went and did the job interview, and basically I've done no job interviews apart from that original army interview when I was 17.
Sure.
And so my wife schooled me on how to do an interview. And I was like, oh, this is okay.
Right.
And I learned everything about the company, and all like 30 hours on the plane, just rinse and repeat. Walked into the job interview, and it come off quite well. And then a week later, I got a phone call and said, oh, you got a job, mate.
Nice.
And it was like a blessing or a curse, but Milton Keynes iFly is the 12-foot, like old school, original hexagonal. And someone beat me to that job, a guy named Greg. Really lovely. I'd probably employ him more than me as well. And I got given a job at Basingstoke, which is a 14-foot newer, the same as XP, except 14 foot. Does that make sense? So shorter glass and whatnot. And I got there and then just started the journey from, I could just backfly, sort of. I could sit fly on the sky, but that's a throwaway. But and then just started all the way through, thrashed as much time and as much effort and read and.
That's a lot of effort too. I mean, especially as a new staff member, I'm assuming you didn't get a ton of time to fly.
We were getting 20 minutes a week.
I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, it was like quite a good deal at the time. And then if you worked the weekend, you got 40 minutes as a crew of 5.
Oh, nice.
And the biggest advantage I had is that 3 of the staff members on our weekend were not flyers, to want of a better word. They were just sort of like, oh yeah, we'll just work and progress.
Sure.
Where myself and a guy named Ryan Chrissy, who's a phenomenal, he is the freedom of minds when it comes to flying. It's like the next level of, no one will ever be like him. And it would be me and him doing 40 minutes together on a Sunday night at 10 o'clock in the evening after you've just worked 2 15-hour days.
Sure. Yeah, but that's how you get it done, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what pushed the guys next level in Dubai. We talked about Naomi beforehand and Rob Jones and Maktoum and all those guys that were pioneering just insane shit. They had nothing but tunnel time. They'd just run out of shit to do because they were flying so much. And it definitely pushed it to the next level. It's
been really cool I've been in a part of my learning and development. I've got my judges' ratings, and now I'm an FAI dynamic judge.
Nice.
And seeing Aspire or Mini Maktoum now be 18-year-old, 17, 18, 19 now, adults, like taking it to the next level of what's achievable in body flight.
Oh, it's insane.
And then what Mike's doing of bringing through generational flyers and splitting so Kaylee and Noah aren't flying together anymore. They've got their own team members, like, and it's like this really cool thing to see what is actually achievable in the sport, like given the time and athletic ability and the.
Well, and I mean the Wittenbergs, for fuck's sake, man. Every time I pull up Facebook, there's doing some other badass thing, either in the tunnel or mountain flying, speed flying with skis and this and that. And I'm like, fucking Mike, come on, stop. It's too much.
there's that point of like, I'll give the fucking rest of us a chance.
Yes. I'm just jealous. I'm just watching this going, this is fucking ridiculous. And it's funny watching the progression of tunnel flying, as we talked before the podcast started. I started in the Vegas tunnel, and I think early 96 was when I started flying in that tunnel. And there were no modern tunnels. There was no wall-to-wall tunnel anywhere in the world at the time. It was Pigeon Forge and Las Vegas and a couple of outdoor tunnels scattered around the world, and that was it, with the exception of military tunnels. And my one claim to fame in the wind tunnel is that I taught Ray Kubiak how to fly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was my student when he started because we worked together in Vegas. Since then, he's done nothing but, be a rocket ship going up.
Well, I think Ray's got his eyes on his own.
They're building.
Yeah.
They're actually already starting to sell memberships because they're getting closer to finishing construction. So yeah, I had them both on not that long ago actually to promote it all.
Yeah, amazing.
They've got some awesome dreams specifically gauged towards the whole community and everything from first timers to pros and everything.
The thing is that as much as what iFly has brought to the community and developed it and made it so worldwide of like the expansion program they did, it's the same problems of what tandems have done to skydiving, of like there's so many ways to skin the cat of what you can achieve, and you can see it within Europe of like the same problems and the same like it's everywhere around the world suffers the same issues of trying to get what we think is the best place to be. And so with more wind tunnels and more competition, it builds that, look what Ray's doing, that's quite cool. So look what iFly's doing, that's how, like, it's that the more the better.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and we talked about it before the podcast. iFly has become such a huge company and such a huge thing that obviously they've got a lot of rules and regulations on how things need to be done, for good reason when you've got those kind of numbers coming through. It is,
and it's like I've still got my IBA rating, and even though I'm not a instructor on the books anymore, I am a spotter coach, and so I still go get training, and I'm still in close contact with the head trainers in Europe, and it's a black and white system of, if you'd like to coach in our wind tunnel, this is how it'll be coached, and these are the things you can and cannot do.
Sure.
And like Josh Bennett, the guy I deal with, it's black and white. He's like, I know more than you because I see it all, and this is how we're going to move forward. And you just if you want to coach in their tunnels, the same way as if you want to maintain your UPSA rating, you want to maintain your British skydiving coach rating, it's like, this is how we have found it'll work best. And if they don't, the banks who hold the security on the insurance companies, then nothing works.
Sure. Well, as soon as you move towards tunnel flying being as corporate as it's become, and accountability no longer being skydivers realizing you try and pull this off, you might not manage it, and if you fuck yourself up, we take responsibility for it. Whereas, Joe and Jane Doe that come in to fly in the tunnel for the first time don't have any idea that they might be walking out or being carried out on a stretcher if it's done wrong. So I get it. I understand. But we talked again before about how funny one of the tunnels here in Finland is, because it's kind of the Wild West.
Well, and it's back to how it was back in 2005, where it was sort of like, if you are your own people, and these are the rules, but
Yep.
we're going to keep moving forward and having fun. And, it's a bad way to say this, but most rules in our sport are written in blood.
Yes.
And
yes.
It's done, like, the reason I coach certain things is because I've seen enough and done enough to be like,
Well, like you said, I mean, you've suffered a concussion or two. I broke my nose in a wind tunnel. I mean, we learn from stupid mistakes, whether personally or whether we saw somebody else do it.
and you can only bounce so many times before you're like I'm currently wearing a wrist guard.
Yeah,
It's like this is from trying to bicep curl too much weight when I was 19. And
Sure.
you're like,
oh man, tell me about it. At fucking
why
50,
does my wrist hurt when I'm 35? You're like,
Oh, man.
yeah, that thing.
at 54, my key for most of my memories is what ache and pain brings back the memory of what injury,
Yeah.
somewhere down the line. But again, which is why I understand why a company like iFly does things the way that they do. But I also come from a generation that very much believed in learn from your mistakes, and chances are I'm not going to learn from yours.
Yeah.
Which is not the greatest mentality to have, but I'm still here.
It's one of those things where it's like you were just lucky to get away with it. There's one of the things that's starting to really annoy me about being in this industry is the amount of friends I've got dying.
Yes.
And it's not even friends, it's like guys you've met
Yep.
who are in the industry, and you're like, I guess can we just sort of like
Yeah, man.
dial it down a bit, guys? There's some level of like
I just had a conversation with a good friend of mine, Simeon Lott, that I worked with in Cross Keys. And he messaged me because he couldn't remember the last name of one of the friends that we'd had that passed away. And from our time in Cross Keys, it's actually a substantial list of people that I worked with there. So if you count just... in skydiving, people are fast friends. So lots of friends that I wouldn't consider myself close to, but I still considered friends.
I've definitely got a list of people I would not introduce to my family.
Of course. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then the ones that I'm like want to take home just to be like,
Absolutely.
look at this.
Well, and you get that list, the list of casual friends over the years that are gone now is incredibly long. And the list of close friends is way too long.
I've been really lucky on the close friends aspect of only having one or two. And where it's like, and I don't know if that's because of like not getting into base. I'm not a swooper. I've got a solid 90. And that's like about 5 years ago, after a couple of little things, I was like, you know what? I'm pretty happy with my 90.
Yeah. I topped out with a 270 max.
Yeah,
That's
I really love freefall and love this.
Sure.
I'm like sort of happy just sort of landing, really. Like it was like compared to the first 5 years of my sport, where I was like, you know what, I'm going to keep pushing and getting to this downside. And I was like, you know what, I stayed on the same canopy for 6 years.
I mean, it's an incredibly hard lesson to learn, but sadly, everybody learns it. Like, I've had a few friends that are not in the sport that know how many people I've lost over the years that are like, well, why don't you just get out of it? And my response is always, I've been in it so long now, if I never talk about or go to a drop zone again or see skydivers again, I will continue to lose friends for the rest of my life. I just know too many people now, which it sucks because we make that conscious decision that, hey, we're going to keep doing this, but it's a tough lesson to learn.
And it's really strange, and it's one of those things where it's like, I think that's the bit that family members don't get, of like, you're like, well, why are you still doing it? And you're like, because we know what they did wrong, and we know how they died. And so you try not to do those things yourself, and that's how you think that will always be invincible.
So it's never going to be me. It's never going to be me. And well, and I mean, how many times I've been in the corner going, oh shit, and
In your brain, you go, oh, I should have made better decisions about 1,000 feet ago.
yes, yes. And I'm lucky. Actually, I'm very happy that I made all the stupid mistakes that I did in skydiving before I ever got into flying planes, because although I still did stupid shit flying a plane, the reality of the situation sunk in much quicker. And you kind of get that, that 100 jump wonder mentality out of your head a lot quicker. But it's still, I mean, it's not a great sport to insist on learning your own lessons.
Is it the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Kind of.
It's like, it explains our sport and how long that takes you to get to that peak of arrogance, and then the progressive of learning and moving forward. And it's like, I've always found that really interesting, because I think in our sport it happens 2 or 3 times.
Sure it does.
Of like,
well, you always keep hitting these false peaks where you're like, oh, I'm at the top.
Yeah,
I've got
I think
it now.
I know. Oh, I think I know. And
I have a good handle on the situation, and then something happens, and you're like, oh shit, no, okay.
I've realized that I want to specialize, and so the guys who do tandem master, AFF, canopy pilot, coach, blah, 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 I feel they're Dunning-Kruger. Even if you've got 15,000 skydives and been in it 20 years, I don't think you've reached any level of, like...
Sure.
Yes, there's this whole spectrum of abilities, and you've got all of the extra added knowledge, but if you were going to really put it down to it...
Sure. Well, and it's such an evolving sport. It evolves so quickly now between skydiving and the tunnel that you're always at the beginning of something. You're always the worst at something at some point.
One of my students said it the other day. He's like, oh yeah, my coach said the techniques he was teaching were a bit old school. And I was like, they're a canopy coach as well, right? I'm like, do they still teach toggle whipping? I'm like, so in one of their disciplines that they teach, they openly admit that they're old school in their techniques. I'm like, where does that? Because where does, like, I did a Nick Bash course 8 years ago now, and I was here learning about fronts and movement and timings of swoop and whatnot. And you're like, so we're 8 years now more on tunnel flying. And so the things that I've changed in my teaching, and I'm like how many multifaceted coaches are thinking that their old school techniques are
right.
That's it. It's like that's where I was like, oh, I don't want to spread my limited brain power over too many disciplines.
Sure.
To be...
Well, and that's where, especially in your case, because you're passing on information to people coming up, you have no choice but to maintain, stay on top of all the new shit coming out and the new techniques and all those things. Because if you start to fall behind, you're just putting substandard people out there with the next generation. Even
now, I pay to be a part of a flying community run by Rafa called The Art of Flying. And we've had Martin Christensen, Ramsey, Philip, just in the short time that I've been a part of it, come in and talk for an hour. And then about all different topics. And Rafa does his part as well of running the talks every week.
Sure.
And so you get reaffirmed the stuff that you are teaching is correct.
Sure.
And then you hear completely different view topics which are also correct, because there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. Be like, well, that's like, I thought I did this full time.
Sure.
And then there's another person who's doing it more full time with more knowledge, and it's even better. And it's like, and we're still talking about one discipline.
Yep. And it's gotten to the level too now that I've got a shit ton of hours in an old-fashioned tunnel, which has no basis in the real tunnel anymore. And I know a lot of people that have a shitload of time in a modern tunnel, but 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And now the things that are being done in the tunnel, I can watch and have absolutely no idea how they're doing what they're doing. Whereas back when I flew, it was obvious. Okay, this guy is doing this because he's using this part of his body in this way. But now, you guys are tweaking a fucking little toe to carve this way or go that way, and it's so much more subtle than it used to be.
I really like the analogy of the stunt planes. So, like, one of my students has got an extra, and he took me for a fly in it, and the subtlety and the controllability he has in all angles of orientation and power with that machine. He's like, yeah, you just touch this and touch that, and I'm like, that's what we're doing with flying now.
Sure.
That,
I broke down a slightly more aggressive landing in a PAC 750 to my swooper buddy Kevin Love, because he was a big time swooper, and so I literally talked him through the landing that I was doing in the PAC by putting it in terms that he would understand with the canopy. And he's like, oh, okay, I get it. You know, here's where it's a harness turn, and here's where I'm on the rears, and here's where I'm on the toggles.
Yeah, that's creating relativity of learning.
Sure.
And when the thing I love about wind tunnels, of trying to explain it to someone who's never seen it before, is that the wind always comes from below you.
Yeah.
And so when you're like, because I'm quite a simple human being, and so like aerodynamics and all of those things, of any mathematical thing has never really sat well with me.
Right, me either.
I'm more of a talker, right? So it's like, but I've had to learn how to communicate with much smarter people than me.
Sure.
Because if you can afford to do our sport, you're probably hardworking and smart. That's
right.
So you've got to increase your ability and your vocabulary just so you don't come across as the hick.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, obviously, people want to hear that you aren't just competent in what you're doing, but as an instructor, that you're able to pass it on in a way that makes sense to everybody. Yeah. Which is a good point that I've had with a lot of other instructors, both in skydiving and in the tunnel, that every instructor isn't a good fit for every student.
No, you don't own. It's the biggest thing I hate about some cultures in our sport of owning students, or being part of one community, or like I've had more coaches than anyone, because working at the wind tunnel, we would have coaches swing by, and then because I'm an overtalker, I'd walk up and I'm like, hey man,
sure,
I know where you've been. I saw you do this. I'm like, I've got a spare 10 minutes here.
Right.
Being a little bit proactively organized, because I was 26, right? It wasn't like I was an 18-year-old kid. I was like,
sure,
this class is empty. This is happening. I'm like, here's 30 quid.
Right.
Tell me what you like. What do you love teaching? And they'd be like, oh, I like teaching this. I'm like, teach me that.
Let's go.
Like, yeah, just tell me what you want to tell me.
Sure.
Because every coach loves teaching something.
Absolutely.
More than they love teaching something else. And so if you get that coach to talk about whatever they want to talk about, and you get the best snippet of knowledge in that 15-minute session.
Absolutely.
And
part of being a good coach too is being able to remove enough ego from the equation that you realize, I'm not the best fit for this student.
Yeah.
They might vibe better with someone else.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much easier, because as an AFF instructor, I had students that were struggling with me that did great with other instructors, and vice versa. And when you finally realize it's not you, it's just your method that doesn't work quite as well with this person.
Because some students need more. They need more.
Yeah.
They need to be talked at. They need everything explained to them. They need everything done. And some students need less.
Well, and in the tunnel too, something that I discovered was I learned better in the tunnel, trying to learn to fly on my head in the tunnel, being over-controlled and not being given enough air
to feel
made me do everything wrong.
Yeah.
But the first time, it was actually Naomi that took me in the tunnel and gave me enough air to let me fuck it up.
Yeah.
And I'd cork and come back down and try again, but I could feel it to fix it. And I understand the desire to keep someone safe, but there's that border between that, and that's just a different style of instructor.
Yeah, and it's that fine line of working out, because of your age and background, she has to massage your ego, because what you think's going to work will work better than what she thinks is going to work.
Sure.
Because that's a way forward of like,
of course,
like we need to learn how to do these 3 skills. Which one do you think's going to work best, Dean? And you go, that one. And I'm like, all 3 are going to work, mate. It doesn't, like, this was an illusion of choice anyway.
Sure, absolutely.
So then I work on the thing that you think's going to work best, because it all complements.
Of course.
And that's that thing where Naomi's figuring out what you wanted to do, because you're like, it's going to work, mate.
Absolutely. Well,
that's a classic, experienced, coached.
Of course, of course. Well, and then
which is what we love about coaching.
Sure. Well, and I also discovered, specific to tunnels, I fit in airplanes really well, but that doesn't make me a terribly natural tunnel flyer.
Yeah.
Because being 5'9" and 87 kg is not great I need a lot of air, and you got somebody...
Surface to weight ratio.
Yeah, you get somebody like Ray who's fucking 6'2" and he weighs 8 pounds. I mean, that fucking guy can fly in any wind whatsoever. Yeah. But so it's having an instructor that also recognizes that as well. It's like, I fly like a brick.
There's that point of like, we are not designed to fly.
No.
Like, humans are not designed to fly.
No.
And getting someone to feel not a robot is my best thing from Philip. Is if you get in a tunnel with someone and they are glazed over and they are just rock, and you're like,
yep,
4-year-old little girls can do this.
Yeah,
that's the amount of muscle density it takes to fly.
Yep.
It does not require that stiffness and finding to take to get a human response from someone.
Well, and I would imagine you'd experience one of the biggest things is getting people to just have fun and smile.
Yeah, and learning is a byproduct of having fun. Because if it's not, it's like I got a few checklists of, can you spend the money? Like if you're spending money here that you're supposed to be spending on bills, then you'll be more worried about the fact you haven't paid your bills than the fact that you're trying to learn.
Sure.
And then like how this isn't like an instant cure. Like it's like I've been doing this 10 years and I'm still shit.
Sure.
Sure. This 3 hours of tunnel time you booked in is not going to make you a rock star.
No.
So like setting limitations and then actual physical limitations of someone who's sat on a couch for, skydiving is normally brought on by an epiphany of life, of a breakup or a job change or something or other. And then so you're like, oh, what do you do in your spare time? And I've had one lady who's like, oh, I watch TV. And I was like, so you would like to learn how to fly your body in a 3-dimensional space and control and be an athlete, and you only watch TV. Like that's your one. That's your other hobby. She now is completely different body shape and a 5K runner.
There you go.
Because she went, oh yeah, I'm spending hundreds of pounds for Jimmy to tell me that I can't like move my legs enough, or that I'm too heavy and too. Yeah. And then so it's like she went away for 12 months, changed her body shape, come back, and it was like that. Oh,
amazing, right?
Move arms. Oh,
amazing.
Because it was like...
And sometimes it's being a good instructor is giving tough information, right? I mean...
it's that fine line between I am always lovely, but I'm also honest. Because there is no way I'm taking someone's money and going, it's fine. Yeah. Because you'll walk away and go, Prick took my money and I learnt nothing.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's like that. That's the
And it
You got to
really
run
is.
the line with that.
Sure.
very
Well,
politely.
and it's a big thing that you say you go out of your way to make sure you're finding what their motivation is behind it and making sure that they're not stepping into an arena that they can't really afford to maintain.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's just for fun now and then, that's one thing. But if you're looking to become a good flyer, you're going to spend some serious coin.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
And it's over a couple of years as well. I think that's
Yes.
a lot of the problem with tunnel is that you can get good quick, but you don't ever get the experience.
Exactly.
Like it's like you can get loads of jumps in 1 year. You've still only been jumping for a year.
A year. Yeah. You've got a lot more hurdles to overcome and a
there's
lot more
that.
living to do in it.
And so
Now,
finding-
speaking of, you're in Finland, you're doing coaching now. How did that come about? And then in general, for anybody that's listening, how do they find you for coaching, whether it be here, back in the UK? Where do you do your primary coaching, and how do they find you?
the Finland camps come a part of basically the energy crisis not hitting Finland and it being very cheap here these days. And so
Some of the cheapest tunnel time in the world, isn't it?
it's absolutely ridiculous.
Who the fuck
um,
knew?
Yeah, I have somewhere that's supposed to be the most expensive place in the world, saying of I don't know how much that beer cost, but I'm not going to say it was probably half the tunnel time that we were. And the Aeronautica have an amazing facility with saunas and wave riders and a great team that goes on there. And then off the back of that, it's cheaper to fly here than it is in the UK. So making these tunnel camps is guaranteed time and
Sure.
effort. And it's a holiday, but it's a training camp. I don't like adventure holidays. I like the fact of becoming a tunnel fly.
Yeah.
Progress. That's a game. And to find me, I've got a website, which is jstcoaching.co.uk, and I'm on social medias as JST Coaching.
Awesome. Dude, the fact that we ended up having a drink in Helsinki after the
so
last
many
time it was a
years.
Zoom call, I mean, it's, and you never know what comes next. If you'd have told me that I'd be doing in-person podcasts in Helsinki, I would have told you you're nuts. There's not going to be fucking skydivers here. No way. And now I've bumped into a bunch of local skydivers at a club that's out by Aeronautica.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And so there's a drop zone here that gets busy during the season, and who knew?
Well, they've got the sunset boogie that happens in this place, which is
Where the sun doesn't set.
renowned. It's the only sunset boogie.
Yeah, man.
So I'm excited to come back for that. That's going to be good.
Well, that's awesome, man. I highly recommend everybody reach out to you, whether it be in the UK or for camps like this, to come out and fly in the tunnel, or you do load organizing as well, yeah?
Yeah, and I'll probably put my foot in it now, but hopefully I should be at Summerfest. The plan is to be at Summerfest.
Awesome.
I did Summerfest last year, and I'm definitely going back.
I worked 4 years for the competition in Chicagoland, and I never made it to Summerfest. I was 20 minutes away, never made it. Was too busy working. So I'm jealous.
It's life-changing.
Yeah. I've been told. Well, Jimmy, this was awesome, man. Thanks again.
All right, mate.
We'll see ya.
See you then.
Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Lunatic Fringe podcast, brought to you as always by, well, wait, not as always, actually. Brought to you now by Gyro. Formerly known as NZ Aerosports, you'll head to gyro.com for their next level line of canopies. By Pussfoot, the Extreme Sports Collective. Head over to pussfoot.com to check it out. By Summit Parachute Systems, check out summitparachutesystems.com to talk to Jarrett Martin and the gang about kick-ass pilot rigs, rigging courses, and more. By Flyaway Indoor Skydiving, go to flyawaytn.com and check out all the cutting-edge stuff to come. By Pure Spectrum CBD, head to purespectrumcbd.com to check out their wide range of CBD products. And as for us, head to the lunaticfringepodcast.com to listen to any of the hundreds of episodes currently available. Hit the link for our YouTube channel, pick up your copy of the Lunatic Fringe book or The Accidental Stripper, and get a sneak peek at upcoming guests. Once again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.